So I get asked this a lot. Why is it that rescues say no to rehoming their dogs to families with kids? It's really frustrating for families if they do have young children and what they really want to do is give a dog a great home. And I have no doubt that most of them, if not nearly all of them, really are going to offer that dog a great home. But there are loads of reasons why rescues try to avoid giving dogs to families with young kids especially. One of the first reasons, of course, is that you can't trust a dog's history. When you're a rescue centre and a dog gets handed to you, maybe they've come from a pound, a different rescue, they might have been handed in by their family or a relative of that family. You've no idea what that dog has been through in its life, and given the best information in the world, you still can't really depend on it to be correct, and you still can't rely on that. So you'd have no idea what the dog has genuinely been through. Even when people say that they think their dog is okay with kids, we're relying on them knowing what that actually means. Some people think that dogs love kids, and actually they get really stressed around kids. Just because they tolerate the way that kids are behaving around them doesn't mean that they're good with kids. It just means that nothing bad has happened yet. So as a rescue, you have to be very careful when you take a dog, when you're thinking about what maybe that dog has been through in the past. It's also really hard in a rescue to assess a dog with children properly. It's fine to walk a dog near children. You could walk them around the streets if there's children nearby. You could take them near to a park where there are children playing, and you can look for responses that might give you clues that there's a problem. But just because a dog can walk around a park with children nearby doesn't mean they're going to tolerate children in a home with them. Just because they don't respond to loud noises or laughing children doesn't mean that that's not going to be an issue when they're sharing a sofa or if there's toys and things in the house. You can get clues about a dog's behaviour, and you'll know maybe that they won't be great with kids if they're very, very energetic, if they're very boisterous. You can watch how they are with their own toys, the way they play, how are they around food. So you can get some clues to see what their behaviour is like and whether you think that would suit a home with a family. But you can't say for sure that a dog will fit into a family. When you're doing that kind of assessment, the only thing you can be sure of is that it probably won't. And that's only, again, if you see those kinds of signs. Some dogs are really great around all these things, but still don't get on great in a home with kids. Also, of course, we know that dogs' behaviour is really changeable. So the environment they're in can make a big difference on how they feel. A really highly energetic environment can create a very energetic dog. They can become very hyper and very excitable. Sometimes that can make them very anxious. So you might see a behaviour actually that you had never dreamed you would see in that dog, just because the environment they're moving to has created different emotions for that dog, and maybe emotions they're not really used to. When dogs become really stressed and overwhelmed, they become reactive, and they can do then very stupid things that really are not an indication of that dog's normal behaviour. But when children are involved, of course, the stakes are much higher. And finally, of course, when a rescue dog goes to their new home, I've already mentioned about overwhelm and stress and anxiety and those things. During the first 3 days when a rescue is in their new home, they are in fight or flight mode, they're in survival mode, they're completely overwhelmed. And what this means is that they are not themselves, and they are very stressed, and what they are really trying to figure out over the next few days is if they're safe or not. They don't know you, they don't know the people in the family, they don't know where they are, new smells, new sounds, new environment, new everything. So those first few days, they are in a state of overwhelm the whole time. And while they're in that state, they could literally just react to anything weirdly. You know, it wouldn't take very much to trigger a reaction. And people are very good at noticing when something might go wrong, and we can respond to that. Children are not good at that. So it might take a little extra time before a child notices that a dog is becoming really stressed or upset. Maybe they're trying to hide or something like that. Children don't respond to those cues the same way that adults do. And when something goes wrong with a rescue dog and a child, that rescue dog's card is marked. It makes it very, very difficult for that rescue dog. They'll end up going back to the rescue. and they might be there for a long time, because a dog that has a history of snapping or biting or growling at a child is going to be really difficult to rehome. So stakes are obviously much higher when we're rehoming with children, and that really is why most rescues prefer just to say no. And in fact, I'd be pretty wary of a rescue that actually freely said they would rehome a dog into a family with young children, because they've maybe not really understood properly what the rescue dog goes through when it goes to a new home and the kind of risks that are being taken. If they don't understand really how dogs behave and their psychology, then they wouldn't fully understand that they are actually taking a risk, and they're taking a risk with your kids. And that's not okay. But many rescues just prefer not to take these risks anymore. It's not an indication of the dog's behaviour, but once they have behaved aggressively or they've reacted towards a child, it's just a black mark for that dog, and it's just not worth it. There'll be a great home for that dog somewhere else, and families can get dogs from other places. They can find dogs, they can get puppies, and the puppies can learn how to grow and interact with their children together. So it's not ever an indication that the rescue thinks that a home with kids is a bad home. It's not that at all. They're just trying to protect their dog, which is really their main concern. So hopefully that answers that question. I'll see you again soon. Take care for now. Bye bye.